and a warm welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I am Ifoma Ojinta. President Muhammadu Buhari has described as welcoming the release of the ousted president of Mali, Ibrahim Keita, by the new military leaders, insisting, however, that the transition process in the country must carry along Malian stakeholders and be completed within 12 months. This, he said, is critical consideration for the new government to enjoy the cooperation of regional and international community, as well as the possibility of easing the sanctions imposed on Mali. The president was speaking at the second extraordinary summit of the ECOWAS leaders on the socio-political situation in the West African nation. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Very clear that ECOWAS engagements with the military leadership in Mali are yet to achieve the desired results in several key areas.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who is personally happy to hear of the release of the former Malian leader Ibrahim Keita from detention, however, insists that embracing democracy and good governance by the new leadership is crucial to the country's political stability.
Nigeria believes that the people of Mali and the military leaders need to appreciate the fragility of their country and the imminent danger which it poses to the citizens of Mali as well as of the ECOWAS sub-region. Mali cannot afford to stand alone. Hence the need to come to terms with the reality acceptable and workable transition compact that inspires the confidence of all Malians.
The president described as imperative that flexibility is demonstrated by the military leaders as they negotiate the fate of their country, taking into account the collective interests of the ECOWAS sub-region.
I urge the military leadership to consider the immediate release of all the remaining senior government officials in detention without preconditions. A transition process to be completed in not more than 12 months, and the need for Mali's constitutional court to work hand in hand with all the Malian stakeholders to ensure an early and hitch-free return to democratic government through free, fair, and inclusive election.
He said Nigeria will, alongside ECOWAS, provide the necessary logistic support to facilitate the conduct of elections towards re-establishing democratic governance in Mali. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Reports just reaching us indicates that the extraordinary summit of the ECOWAS leaders has ended, and the resolutions will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletins. Now to other issues. To effectively deal with the southern Kaduna crisis, the Buhari administration will not sweep the major issues on the conflict under the carpet. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo gave this assurance at the ongoing Nigeria Bar Association Annual General Conference during a special conversation featuring him and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. The assurance includes ensuring justice, fixing economic marginalization, and the prosecution of persons responsible for murders in order to ensure end to impunity. Describing the killings in southern Kaduna as mindless, callous, and heartbreaking, the Vice President condoled with those who have lost loved ones and those injured or who have suffered loss of property, stressing that these tragedies are unacceptable and are avoidable, while highlighting past and current efforts of the federal government in dealing with this situation. Vice President Osinbajo said steps are being taken towards the improvement of security in southern Kaduna with the establishment of military base there and Air Force surveillance. He also urged those who have concerns about the recently signed KAMA legislation to approach the National Assembly for possible amendments. Meanwhile, the warring communities of southern Kaduna have vowed to own, pursue and implement the Peace Pact signed to restore peace to their community. Key players from the area said the decision is born from the realization of a common secular security that binds the people. Lydia Sampson reports.
This often ends on a round table when ravaging communities find a common ground. For the people of Southern Kaduna, it is simply time to stop the needless killings and live in peace.
There is no two ways to that word peace. Peace has no alternative word than peace itself. And violence has no alternative word than violence itself. And peace leads to complete unity, progress, and interdependent on each other for all that one needs as a human being.
This particular peace effort is developed, engineered, and by the communities themselves under the leadership of the Oguatiap in Zangon Kata local government of Southern Kaduna.
In every situation, there has to be a commitment to an attitudinal change. That's number one. And we are perceiving that there is a commitment to having a change of attitude. And under this change of attitude, we are again hoping that the concept of common secular security will now be brought to the forefront of our relating together.
Though still an ongoing process, the community leaders have resolved to bequeath to their people what many think impossible through continuous engagement. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Let's now join Abolade Salami in Lagos to have the latest about the helicopter crash in Ikeja. Hello, Abolade. What can you tell us about the plane crash in Okpebi, Ikeja today? If you can hear me, just give us an update about the helicopter crash in Ikeja today. We seem not to be hearing from Abolade there. We will join him later when we establish, contact with him. Now, moving on, the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum, has commended President Muhammadu Buhari for his political will and measures to end terrorism and other forms of criminality across the country. Governor Zulum gave the commendation at the inauguration of the Tukur Buratai Institute for War and Peace. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa in Buratai Bu, local government area of Borno State, has the details.
With this, the Tukur Buratai Institute for War and Peace, conceived in 2016 as a counter-terrorism museum, has been inaugurated. The institute, situated in Buratai, the local government area of Borno, is part of the Nigerian Army University system, devoted to the study of different warfare with emphasis on asymmetric conflicts and rehabilitation.
The Tukur Buratai Institute aims at training and capacity building for military personnel as well as civilians in counter-terrorism and counter-insurgency operation, humanitarian response, peace conflict and peace building, as well as reconstruction, with a view to influencing policy at state and community levels.
We shall continue to support our armed forces. When we occasionally criticize, we do so with a view to improving on our successes and not out of lack of appreciation.
To the Vice Chancellor, Nigerian Army University Bu, the research institute is among the Nigerian Army's non-kinetic approach in fighting Boko Haram.
And it is part of the Nigerian Army's efforts at defeating the Boko Haram insurgency, not only by kinetic force, but intellectually by providing education, that thing which they do not want.
The development of Tukur Buratai Institute for War and Peace began with this bullet-riddled building.
Was formerly the house of the Chief of Army Staff, which was attacked by the Boko Haram, which was made to become museum, which was later transformed to Tukuru Yusu Center for Counterterrorism Center, and now it has metamorphosed into Tukuru Brotai Institute for War and Peace.
Staff quarters for the institute were also inaugurated. The institute, with 6 specialized centers, has a projection for expansion and collaboration with other research organizations across the country. From Bratai in the local government area of Borno State, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Okay, let's now go back to Abolade Salam in Lagos. Abolade, if you can hear me, can you give us an update on the helicopter crash in Ikeja today?
All right, thank you, studios. We heard that as at 12 noon when we got here, that the helicopter ABL 206 departed Port Harcourt, heading for the local wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, before the unfortunate incident occurred right at this building behind me, number 16 Salvation Road, here in Okpebi in Ikeja. And immediately it happened, emergency responders came on. We had the last Lasema, we had NEMA that came to rescue. But when we got here, we were told that of the 3 occupants on board the aircraft, 2 died, while 1 was rescued and taken to the hospital. Also, when we came here, we met policemen on ground. We met the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps to control the crowd, because getting access here was a bit difficult when the crash happened because of the people that were here to see things for themselves. But as I speak with you now, the wreckage has been taken off and the black box has been taken away, taken to the AIB custody, where they said further investigations to be carried out on it to know the actual cause of the crash.
Okay, Abolade, have you any updates on the present health situation of the survivor?
Yes, thank you. The information we got was that the last person that was taken to the hospital had severe injuries, but he's been taken to the hospital. That was the only information we got as at the time we got here, and we've not gotten anything again. But I have here with me the state coordinator of NEMA, Mr. Ibrahim Faturiti. Please comment, sir. Who was here when the incident happened and was involved in the rescue operation? Please, sir, can you tell us what happened and how you were able to make things go well?
Well, at about 11:45 a.m. this morning, although we had several calls coming in about distress alerts, so we were communicating with other stakeholders to confirm, especially the fan and the tarmac. But fortunately, the NEMA Mission Control Center, which is Cospas Hazard, meant to distress alert detection for maritime and aviation sectors, sent coordinate and alerted us in Lagos here about the incident. Immediately, I had to relate back to FAN, NAMA, AIB, and other responders with rescue responders. They moved in here, and the first thing we have to do, those who are closer on the ground must be contacted. And being an aviation incident, we have to move as fast as possible. And due to the fastness nature of the response, we were able to save 1 life out of the 3 people on board. 2 were recovered dead. 1 was.
Can you tell us the present state of the person?
Well, the present state, we won't be able to state it until the hospital authority gives details, because once we finish operation at the site, we hand over to the hospital. Hospital management will continue administration.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ibrahim. I can also confirm to you here that ever since the Commissioner of Police left this place, the area has been cordoned off with the presence of security men on ground to ensure that nothing goes wrong in the building affected. For more reports here in Lagos, and I hand you to Dotson in the studio.
Thank you so much, Abolade, for that update. And now, away from the helicopter crash, the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development has assured Nigerians of the commitment of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration to continue to engender food safety and security, as well as boost local production in agricultural businesses at the grassroots. The minister gave the assurance during a courtesy visit to Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu at the Lagos State Government House, Ikeja. Nosa Usla reports.
Food insecurity is a serious concern throughout sub-Saharan Africa prior to the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. The minister, who explained that he is on a working visit to some government and private-owned agricultural facilities in Lagos State, commended Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for ensuring food security during and after the total lockdown due to the pandemic.
Agriculture in this country is probably now number one as the prime mover of the economy. And this pandemic that we have and we are still battling with has reinforced the importance of agriculture, not only in this country, but probably in the entire world.
The governor, who applauded the federal government for its support since the pandemic, reiterated his administration's commitment to increasing the state's food self-sufficiency to 100%, adding that the Immortal Rice Mill is near 75% completion.
So we did, we're happy, and we thank God that the fatality has not been out of proportion. In Lagos, we have less than 2%, so even the current Honorable Commissioner for Health himself is in isolation, but he's doing well. Just for people to know that the virus knows nobody.
Governor Sanwo-Olu assured the minister of the continuous support of the state government. In Lagos, Nusa Usula, NTA News.
The Weights and Measures Department of the Ministry of Trade and Investment has sealed off at least 90 dispensing pumps at various petrol stations in Lagos. This aligns with the objective of ensuring compliance through testing and verification to reduce fraud. Amaka O reports.
These are officials from the Weights and Measures Department on inspection of petroleum products with the use of a 20-litre Seraphine standard measure.
We want to see the compliance in terms of certification of these flow meter pumps. Manager, can we see one, current one for year 2020?
Yes, I have the current one, sir. I have the current one.
Okay. Compliance officer is checking.
Okay, this certificate is issued on the 8th January 2020. Okay, that's good.
The target is to ensure uniformity of measurement, promote standardized business practices, and transparency at the dispensing points to encourage consumer trust.
We are telling all the marketers they should pay their revenue at when due. Failure to do that will be prosecuted. Whoever found wanting will be prosecuted.
The department, whose surveillance role cuts across all sectors of the economy, issues certificates of verification to promote trade among indigenous producers.
In whatever field you can think of, be it petroleum, non-petroleum commodities, electricity, telecommunication, and anything, we have responsibility to ensure that Nigerians are not surcharged. It is our duty to ensure that there is value for money. Whatever you pay, you get the correct value of it. And if you are not complying, we have the right to seal up your premises and until everything is formalized.
Weights and Measures Department remains consistent all year round in delivering its mandate to Nigerians. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
And back to the helicopter crash. Reports just reaching us in a statement signed by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity. President Muhammadu Buhari has commiserated with families, friends and associates of victims of the Bell 206 helicopter operated by Quorum Aviation, which crashed today in Okpebi, Lagos State. While the nation awaits reports of the investigation into the accident by the aviation regulatory agencies, the President prays that God will console the bereaved families, grant peace to the souls of the dead, and speedy recovery for the injured. Let's now take a break. Nationwide will be back after this.
You're welcome back. Now, the AIG Zone 16, Austin Agbolahon, says the multiple security checkpoints on the roads is a deliberate measure to improve security situation in the zone amidst the withdrawal of arms from local vigilante groups across the country. AIG Agbolanho said these are the first official visits to River State, where he interacted with officers and men under his command. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
The new AIG is in the state on a working visit, having assumed duties as the first AIG under the newly created Zone 16. The zone is made up of Rivers and Bayelsa states. Key concern to the AIG is the need for effective policing training for officers and men under his command and improved working environment. He said the reduced cases of kidnapping along the east-west road is an indication that the command in River State has been proactive.
Our men are now everywhere. You know, when we're talking about vigilante and so on, they work with instruction and again in collaboration with, with the main police. I'm sure the presence of the men on the road has, reduced this crime.
We want to assure the AIG that the command is ways, and we will continue to do our best with your experience.
Other issues of concern were the community policing recruitment, in-house training, manpower, logistics, and equipment challenges, which the AIG also addressed. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Issues of rape and other forms of gender-based violence are receiving more attention as more advocacies continue to dominate the center stage. Kenneth Nanim reports that a non-governmental organization, Break Forth Nigeria, is latest in the campaign on the need to break the silence culture regarding sexual abuses, especially on women and minors.
Nigeria has enacted various laws to guard against rape and other sexual abuses, including the Child Rights Act and Violence Against Persons Act of 2015. Yet issues of rape and other sexual assaults continued unabated. To proffer a solution for this, one of the reasons for this stakeholders meeting.
The issues are being put in perspective.
If you keep talking, if you keep speaking, someday someone will listen. And if somebody listens, someday someone will act. And when we act, something will happen.
The conference also identified fear of stigmatization and denial of justice, as well as some cultural beliefs, as some of the reasons victims of rape and other sexual abuses do not speak out.
Rape is one case where you have two distinct scenes of crime. The body of the lady that has been violated or the body of the young man that has been violated is a living scene of crime. While the physical location where the crime took place is another scene of crime. Both are important in the success of every investigation.
The victim believes that episode every day of her life. It is going to be 5-10 years, so it's easier we find a way of calling all of these institutions to assume their responsibility, do what is right, so that women would have a freer space to thrive.
In tackling the issues head-on, their voices are getting louder, advocating domestication and ratification of all Violence Against Persons Act at all levels. Issues of child upbringing, human trafficking, drug abuse, and moral values are other areas requiring attention, which were also streamlined. A 93-page book of 10 chapters with the title Lend Your Voice, believed to be an advocacy tool to end rape and all forms of sexual molestations in the country, authored by the country coordinator of Break Forth Nigeria, was also unveiled. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
The Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Zubairu Dada, has inaugurated a 14-member ad hoc committee on the establishment of the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Fund, with a mandate to advise on the mission, sources and objectives of the fund. Uche Ugochukwu was at the virtual inauguration in Abuja.
The Diaspora Commission is mandated by the Act to harness the resources, skills and talents of the over 17 million Nigerians in diaspora for national development. Setting up a private sector-led Nigerian Diaspora Investment Trust Fund is one of the 3-point outcomes of the first Nigeria Diaspora Investment Summit in 2018 to assist in achieving the goal.
This committee is set up with Nigerians of high repute
people of integrity, and who understand the investment climate globally and are patriotic enough to assist the Nigerian diaspora to complement government's efforts in national development.
The committees to advise NIDCOP on the following: the mission and objectives of the trust fund, the structure of the fund, especially a private sector led and driven by the Nigerians in the diaspora.
The ad hoc committee has Dr. Ali Garba as chairman and Professor Mani Anebunam as co-chairman. It is expected to submit a report in 1 month as a guide to the establishment and takeoff of the trust fund. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
In an effort to allay fears expressed by the leadership of the church about the recently enacted Companies and Allied Matters Act CAMA 2020, Vice President Yemi Oshibajo says concerns can be processed through possible amendment of the contentious section of the law through a proposal to the National Assembly, as the nation is in a democracy. The Vice President said this during a conversation at the ongoing Nigerian Bar Association Annual General Conference. The Vice President says the CAMA law is a massive legislation that covers a wide range of issues, and a small portion of it, called the Incorporated Trustees section, regulates charities that affect the church. The Vice President explained that churches, mosques, and church organizations are regarded as charities, and it is the Incorporated Trustees section of the Companies and Allied Matters Act that has become controversial. Now, preparations for the reopening of Arcanu Ibiam International Airport on top gear. We now join Chinaya in Enugu for these and more stories. Chinaya, it's over to you.
Welcome to Enugu. Business community and residents of Enugu are in high spirit as the Arcanu Ibiam International Airport Enugu is set for reopening on Sunday, 30th August 2020, after being closed for about 1 year to upgrade facilities as well as undergo major rehabilitation work on its runway. Jude Abugu is standing by with updates on preparations for the Sunday's reopening of the airport.
At the main entrance of the Arcanu Ibiam International Airport Enugu, where preparations are on top gear for the Sunday's reopening of the airport after 1 year of closure to undergo rehabilitation work on the runway and also upgrade of the facilities. You can see that apart from the much talked about runway and facility upgrade, so many things are wearing new look at this airport, including the terminal buildings and also the monument you are seeing at the entrance. No wonder it is eliciting a lot of excitement among residents and business communities in this Enugu metropolis.
We've suffered a lot of losses and delays. Now that the airports are going to open, people are rejoicing.
With the reopening of international airport, I can tell you that many people of the Southeast that are overseas that are willing to come, they can happily come. Christmas is coming and there will be a lot of business activities.
Some of them believe that although it took longer than they expected for the completion of work and reopening of the airport, but it was worth waiting for, as the status of the airport now will attract more investors.
We now have a runway that can take bigger aircrafts. We now have a runway that you can ascribe to international standard. And that is a good development. It is going to open up the economy of the Southeast.
It is no longer about how many months or weeks to the reopening of the airports, but a matter of hours from now. From Arcanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, Jude Abugu, NTA News.
The role of the media in information dissemination and nation building is crucial, hence the need for partnership with government. The Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma stated this when the president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Chris Isiguzu, paid him a courtesy visit at the government house, Owerri. Bright Ibochu reports.
visit by the national president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Chris Isiguzo, and other leaders of the union in the southeast who were in Imo State for their zonal executive meeting afforded them the opportunity to share ideas on effective ways of fostering good relationship between government and the media. Governor Hope Uzodinma, who acknowledged the role of the media in national development, describes members of the Fourth Estate of the REM as partners in progress, urging them to remain committed to promoting accuracy and truth in their reportage.
Anytime you want me to do anything to project the interests of our people, the interests of the country, if it is something within my reach that I can afford, just feel free to ask. I'll be willing to do that.
The NUJ National President, Chris Isiguzo, commends Governor Uzodinma for his commitment to infrastructural development, especially in the area of roads construction. Highlight of the visit was the presentation of a commendation plaque by the Imo State Chairman of the NUJ, Chris Arcanu, to the Governor in Owerri. Bright Ebuchio, NTA News.
And that is it from Enugu. Ifoma is back to you in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Chinenye. Nigeria is making significant progress towards completing its second African peer review process despite the restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic. National Coordinator of the African Union Development Agency and the new Partnership for Africa's Development, NEPAD, Gloria Akubondo, said this at a media briefing in Abuja to sensitize Nigerians on the process. Metari Ikpen reports.
Initiated in 2003, the African Peer Review Mechanism is a self-assessment process for African countries to replicate best practices for political stability, economic growth, and sustainable development. Nigeria had its first peer review in 2008, and the setting up of the National Governing Council by President Muhammadu Buhari set in motion the second peer review process.
The review will help achieve a proper statistics of governance in Nigeria and set roadmap of implementation called National Program of Action.
Nigeria hopes to join 3 other countries that have completed their second peer review.
What is happening there in Mali is a mistake. It's unacceptable by the family of APRM. We want a better Africa. We want Africa that will be piloted in peace.
In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigeria's NEPAD and APRM Secretariat under the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation has since deployed ICT for broad sensitization of Nigerians and virtual trainings on the administration of questionnaires to ensure a successful second peer review process. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
The Federal Ministry of Mines and Steel Development has re-emphasized its commitment to developing mining potentials in Benue State for the purpose of revamping the economy. Minister of State in the ministry, Samson Oga, said this when he visited Governor Samuel Otom at Government House, Makodi. Charles Abba reports.
The Minister of State, Mines and Steel Development, Samson Uchechukwu Oga, who acknowledged the huge mineral resources in Benue State, reiterated the Buhari administration's vigorous pursuit to develop mining and agriculture to diversify the nation's economy from oil. He said his visit to the state is to seek collaboration with the state government to develop the mining sector to create wealth, generate revenue, provide employment for the teeming youths, and increase private sector investment in the mining activities.
We in the Ministry of Mines and Steel Development are particularly glad that peace, calmness, normalcy, which now prevail across Benue State, has stimulated the resumption of mining, which now mining and other economic activities in the state.
We must find it necessary to set politics aside, but synergize to ensure that we put smiles on the faces of our people.
He, however, called on the federal government to grant autonomy to state governments to issue licenses to legitimate miners as to strengthen the desired synergy. In Makudi, Charles Abba, NTA News.
As part of efforts to cater the infrastructural needs of over 2,000 border communities in the country, the federal government has handed over a skills acquisition center to Jigawa State government. The project is a constituency project of the senator representing Jigawa Northwest Senatorial Zone and Chairman Senate Committee on Information, Senator Danladi Abdullahi Sankara. Bashir Ibrahim has the details.
Our state is among the 21 states captured in the activities of the Border Communities Development Agency due to its strategic location. The establishment of the Skills Acquisition Center was facilitated by the senator representing Jigawa Northwest Senatorial District, who also chairs Senate Committee on Information, Danladi Abdullahi Sankara, as a constituency project. The four benefiting local governments under the constituency include Taura, Garki, Gagarawa, and Gua, with the aim of empowering and improving their living conditions. Receiving the project on behalf of Jigawa State Government, Deputy Governor Umar Namadi assured that the state government will evolve synergy with the four affected local government councils to equip the center with relevant training materials and open it for immediate use.
I also want to assure the distinguished senator and invite the border community agencies that these skill acquisition centers, which are in Taura, Garki, Gagarawa, and Biwa, will be used effectively to train our people and get them empowered.
These projects are in the following economic and social sectors: agriculture and food security, education, healthcare, clean water and sanitation, commerce and small-scale industries, access roads and bridges, housing, human capacity development, that is empowerment and skill acquisition, just like what we are here to do today.
The community's role is to safeguard the facility from vandals and participate in the threats available when it becomes operational for their betterment. From Dusi, Bashir Ibrahim Nababa, NTA News.
Mohammed is standing by in our Maiduguri Network Center to bring us details of ongoing construction of houses in local communities ahead of IDP's resettlement by Borno State government.
Many thanks, Ifoma. Thank you for joining us in Maiduguri. And we'll begin with resettlement. As Borno State government plans to close down internally displaced persons camp within the state capital, construction of 500 houses each at Ngamdu in Kaga and Auno and Konuga local government areas have reached advanced stages of completion. Governor Babagana Umara Zulum assessed progress of work, where he also highlighted the urban renewal scheme of the state government. Mohamed Goni reports that the residents of Ngamdu who lost their homes to flooding last year will benefit from allocation of the estate at Ngamdu.
Governor Babagana Umara saw the need to construct 500 houses in Ngamdu, not only to resettle those affected by the flooding last year, but also IDPs and vulnerable from the area. Commissioner for Reconstruction, Rehabilitation and Resettlement, Mustafa Gubio, who conducted the governor around the project site, said the 300 houses are at advanced stages of completion with roofing work ongoing, while 200 houses will be built as soon as suitable site is approved. Professor Babagana Umara commended the quality of work and urged the officials handling the project to expedite the roofing work. While interacting with members of the community at the site, Professor Babagana Umara emphasized the need for them to send their children to school and further directed local council officials and stakeholders to compile lists of school-age children for enrollment. He equally expressed the need to provide social amenities as well as deployment of doctors and teachers to the community and empower the citizenry.
We want to close all IDP camps inside Maiduguri to an area where it is safe, and it will also provide opportunities for the IDPs to farm in the vicinity of their houses. We want to embark on urban renewal on some certain local government in Borno State, especially Benishak, Mongono, Gubio, Gamburungala, Dambwa, among others.
The governor walked through Ngamdu and Benishek, where he directed construction of shopping complex as well as roads and drainages. Professor Babagana Umara also assessed construction of 500 houses at Auno, which has also reached advanced stage of completion. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Borno Emirate Concerned Citizens Forum has called on all stakeholders to cooperate and support the federal government in the fight against the decade-long insurgency in Borno State. Chairman of the forum, Zanna Hassan Boguma, led other members who briefed the press at the NEJ Press Center, Maiduguri. Here are details of the report. The briefing was necessitated by recent negative security incidences, such as insurgents' attacks on innocent civilians, which the forum chairman explained cannot be tolerated by well-meaning individuals in the state. While sympathizing with the state governor, Babagana Umara Zulum, over attack on his motorcade and condemning attacks on returnee communities, Borno Emirate Concerned Citizens Forum called for immediate intervention from all government agencies for restoration of peace and constitutional law and order in war-ravaged zones of Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa states.
The terrorist acts clearly do not reflect any religion, particularly Islam, the religion of peace. The forum commends the efforts of the federal government under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari in its efforts to counter terrorism in the northeast part of Nigeria, as well as we appreciate all our security agencies, civilian JTF, hunters and agro rangers for their sacrifices in ensuring safe and secure society free from attacks by the terrorist groups.
While sympathizing with fallen heroes and bereaved families, the forum saluted the courage of the state governor to resettle displaced communities with dignity. They also urged the military to intensify efforts to ensure security of liberated communities by switching from defensive to offensive, as done by forces of neighboring Chad Republic, which proved successful.
Thanks for staying tuned. The Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, has begun moves towards resuscitating its community station at Pategi, Kwara State. To this end, the General Manager of NTA Ilorin and the heads of StarTimes and its management were on a fact-finding mission to the station on the directive of the Director General, Malam Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, where they were received by the Etsu Pategi Ibrahim Umar Bologi II. Kende Omolosho reports.
The visit is a follow-up to the request of Governor Abdurrahman Abdurazak, presented before the Director General of NTA, Yakubu Ibn Muhammad, that NTA Patigi be resuscitated.
So much interest.
The Etsu Patigi is appreciative of the governor's concern about the well-being of the people of Patigi. The people do not have access to the quality programs of NTA, hence the need to change the narrative. To demonstrate commitment to the resuscitation of the station, the Etsu Patigi joined in a facility tour done by the General Manager, NTA Ilorin, Waid Bupola, and the officers in charge of StarTimes and ITS.
We need to be upgraded to the digital facilities. I pray NTA will do its best as quick as possible to have this NTA Patigi put in place.
The Coalition of Higher National Diploma Holders of Nigeria has called on the authorities in the civil service of the Federation to implement the 2006 Federal Government White Paper on discrimination against HND holders in civil service. Ikechukwu Ndukwe reports.
27th of September 2006, former President Olusegun Obasanjo approved a white paper which, among others, directs that undue dichotomy and ceiling on grade level attainable by higher national diploma holders be removed and replaced by merit and hard work. For 2 years after, HND holders are still stagnated at level 14 if the candidates do not acquire postgraduate diploma and master's degree from government-approved universities. A situation HND holders say they can no longer endure.
A group of people would be enjoying their promotions, everything in service, and another group of people are retarded. It is unacceptable to us that we're not going to take this lying low. We may have slept over time, but this time around, we are going to mobilize our students, our members across Nigeria, and we are going to occupy that office until they do the needful.
We are leaders of the people, and we are telling you that our people are agitated. Any moment from now, they may hit the street.
As I speak to you, exams, some of them are promotion exam is about to start again 29th of this month.
29th of this month, will those people still be left out without allowing them to write the same exams? To this effect, we may not allow it to work.
The 4 weeks ultimatum has been handed down to the office of the head of service of the Federation to implement or risk picketing of major offices by the coalition of HND holders of Nigeria. The group is wondering why the white paper is not implemented even when President Muhammadu Buhari is clear on the implementation. In Abuja, Ikechukwu Ndukwe, NTA News.
The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 296 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The latest figures released bring the total number of confirmed cases to 53,317 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 17 states indicates that Plateau recorded the highest number for the day with 85 new cases, while Enugu has 46 new cases, Oyo 31, Lagos 21, Rivers 20, FCT 15, Kaduna 13, Bauchi 12, Delta and Ekiti states recorded 11 cases each. Others are Akwa Ibom 7, Ebonyi 6, Kwara 5, Ogun and Osun states recorded 4 cases each, while Gombe recorded 3 cases. The daily tally is completed by Niger State recording 2 cases. On confirmed cases by chart, Lagos has the highest with 18,056, followed by FCT with 5,094, and Oyo comes third with 3,091 cases. With the latest development, total number of active cases stands at 11,580, while 40,726 cases have been successfully treated and discharged, and 1,011 deaths recorded. And now sports. The federal government insists on the relocation of illegal occupants of the National Stadium, Lagos, as Arsenal and Liverpool prepare to face off in the Community Shield on Saturday. Details with Bade Adeleye on Sports Updates.